probably to give you a little bit more context, when I left high school, after a torrid 15 years of education, which was marred by extensive bullying, which became more physical, I left school with conditional acceptances to go and study at university, but opted not to try in the exams, because at that point, my life transitioned from where I felt like a victim of my environment to where I thought I have some sort of element of I can have agency over what's happening in my life. So that happened at that kind of 15, 16, that pivotal age where you're thinking, let's move further and do more with my life. So that happened. And what happened there was I left school with a couple of Scottish hires, as they're called, and didn't have anything that would allow me to go to university, and equally had too much that I wouldn't get an apprenticeship. So no one was willing to offer me an apprenticeship because anyone else who was coming in had no other options. Whereas here's Ryan, who had options to go to university, and their thoughts and all the questions in the interviews were, would you stay here for 4 or 5 years to complete this? Or are you going to get like the urge to go and pursue that last couple of hires, which will take you in to university? So no one would entertain that. I got into construction and started to work in construction that was 2001. Then 2008-9, construction was on its knees. The recession completely washed it out. By that time, I had accumulated the car, the 5 Series BMW, the nice house. I had just moved back from the States. Like, stuff looked good in my life materially. However, it was washed out. So I ended up bankrupt, house repossessed, car repossessed, back with my parents. Things started to really go on its head. So at that point, I sunk into a depression. The first time I'd experienced that sort of real, I had no control over how life was going to happen. And the awareness of what's the point? Like, why would I even bother trying anymore? Like, I had this real, like, low point at that 2009 spell where I was back with my parents after thinking my life was starting to move. Now, on the construction site, people would always say, because I had developed this jovial, outgoing attitude where I would speak to anyone, and they would say, Ryan, you should be in sales. And I was like, so nothing else happening, I'm going to do sales. So I went out in Scotland and did door-to-door sales for 15 or 16 months. And it was one of these commission only, you recruit people into your team, you build a team capable of generating enough money, and you get promoted through this effective pyramid scheme. So what happened was I did exceptionally well. In 5 months, I was promoted to the assistant manager. In 7 months, I was set out to build my own office in Edinburgh from Glasgow. And that was the beginning of my sales career. Although I realised at the time, when I took my office of 15 members and set up in Edinburgh, the 48-year-old man who had promoted me went back to knocking doors. And I was like, 48, I'm going to have to go and knock doors with my office. So I was like, this isn't for me. And did door-to-door in Edinburgh at all of the recruitment firms. And S3 liked that attitude, the get up, go, find what you want. And they took me in. So that was the start of the recruitment career. It was never planned, Peter. I think that's the honest summation, as it was never planned. And having been someone who spent 10 plus years out and about moving, to then be chained to a desk for 13, 14, 15 hours a day, I was like, this probably isn't for me long term. However, the flip side of every coin is its opposite. And what I found was that I made really good money really quickly. S3 had me in planes to go for all expenses paid trips to Marbella, where I got free beer, and like, it was amazing. So as much as I hated being chained to the desk, I realised I had a good knack for speaking to people, engaging at a high level, and getting buy-in from organisations to start to recruit and equip them with staff. So that happened. The office shut and I went to another firm who were just setting up in Edinburgh, and had this, like, it was almost like I had this knack for going in because it was a cold desk that I started in the oil and gas industry. And then I went into almost a cold desk, which had never been worked in Scotland, for a company who were Bristol based. And that was, again, just a development of my recruitment career. But quickly, 2013, we went on holiday, myself and my fiance went on holiday to Mexico, and I'm lying on the beach in Cancun and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Like, I spend 70 hours a week. Like, I'm in the weekends sitting at a desk. Like, that is not my idea of a good life. So when that came to me and lying on that beach, I had a breakdown again. Like, there was this, what am I doing? So at that point, I then qualified as a personal trainer and set up my own business, but still very part-time. And over the years, that progressed to become something that I could substantiate and have as a full-time business. So that saw my transition from leaving school, which was horrible, through construction, recruitment, and then into setting up my own business.